we are at 6 p.m. Hello, everyone, whoever's getting on Facebook right now. My name is Brandon. I'm the executive assistant for AMCSI, and I'm here with Melissa Smith.
Hi.
I'm going to go through a little bit about her background and like the 12,000 hats that she wears. So, everyone, she's a certified life coach. She has 10 years or over 10 years as a coordinator, manager, and director in the nonprofit sector. She's also a second grade teacher, if I'm correct, or you have nine years in teaching.
I probably need to update on that on my site, but yes.
Okay.
But we'll go with it. Yeah.
But she does education. She's an educator.
Yeah.
She's also an entrepreneur. She operates Aspire2Fly, which is an inspirational clothing line. And she also does life coaching kind of like in conjunction or supplemental to that, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Perfect. And she's also a wonderful mother and a grandmother, if I'm correct on that too. So that's just a little bit of her like background and kind of just like the wonderful things that she's just doing all the time. And like I was expressing to her a little bit earlier, I have no idea how she manages so many things simultaneously. But overall, I commend you on all that you have achieved, your journey, and whatever is to come in the future. But yeah, aside from what I kind of mentioned, like tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of how arthrogryposis kind of is kind of interjected into all of that you're doing. Like tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah. So let's see. I don't even know where to begin. It's like, where do I begin? I think being born with arthrogryposis has made me super resilient, I persevere. Figuring things out, problem solving, and when I kind of think about those things, it's almost like in everything that I do, it kind of is like interwoven into all those things with being, a second grade teacher. It's not for the weak. Being an educator, you know what I mean? Especially in this past year going through the pandemic, you have to be resilient. You have to, be willing to be there and support students and their families. We were the be it and be all. So, I think about the characteristics that, being born with this disability has really made me into who I am today. You know what I mean? Sometimes like I always go back to when I was younger and my mom used to be like, okay, I mean, I was born in the 70s. There wasn't a whole lot of information back then on it. Not the way there is today, when my mom had me, they took me away from her and she was like, she knew something was wrong. She jumps off the table, imagining just having a baby and you're jumping off the table saying, what's wrong with my daughter's hands? And they're like, oh, nothing. She just has long fingers like you. And she's like, no, like she's trying to get off the table. And then they isolate her and they take me away. And the next time she sees me, I got cast from my arm, my shoulders all the way down. And, and people have already like, oh, well, look at what a way to come into life with 2 broken arms. And nobody knows what to tell her. And they finally get this, an orthopedic surgeon who comes in and says, your daughter has arthrogryposis. She's like, okay, now what? Like, what do I do with that? So she's like, just like with being a parent, nobody hands you a handbook, on what to do. And so she was just like, okay, like, Lord, what do I do? So she prayed and did what was naturally right, what she felt she needed to do for me. And, she just really I always remember being young. It's just like, I don't want you to be a wallflower. I want you
Yeah.
can do and be anything you want to do. Don't let nobody tell you what you cannot do. So, I mean, even though we talk about a lot about mindset today, and she was probably prepping me back then to be a life coach when you think about it. But, she was really about me and my mindset and me having confidence in myself. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of crying and me, a lot of like not liking her a lot, and her and my dad getting mad because I didn't get why she would put me in ballet. She would put me in piano lessons. She'd put me in all these things. I'm like, but it's hard. And she was just like, figure out your way. I know you can do it, whatever it is. I want you to do it. And I always did.
Yeah.
And so, with tears or whatever, but I always found the confidence and figured out how to make it work for me, And so, yeah, I mean, I think I went a lot all over the place with that, but it's just like, there's just so many places I can go with that question, but I think being raised that way kind of set the foundation for me. And my family was always super supportive, and they were cheerleaders. Come on. They call me Missy. Come on, Missy, you can do it. You got this, from me figuring out how to put my own clothes on, how to button things up. So that's why I'm saying perseverance and resilience. That is in me. That's like my makeup. And that's why, with all these different hats I wear, I like refuse, like, I'm not going to give up. Like, I can do this. I got this no matter how tired I get, because I've always been pushed in that way. Does that make sense?
For sure. And I think that's just a testament to like your inherent creativity, because from what it sounds like, how you're just expressing, you had to find a way how to do a lot of those things. And I think just you being creative just from the get-go just allows you to navigate a hard life, but strategically, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I commend you for that. I think just navigating life in general is the hardest. So
yeah, it is. And then we stick something like this on top of us, it's just like, it, like I said, being an educator is not for the weak, but just being who I am, who we are, people having a disability, it's like you're always looking at the bigger picture of things, It's just like I have a friend who has a disability. It's not arthrogryposis, but we have conversations sometimes, and she's just like, able-bodied people don't have to think about, okay, when I go do this, what challenge am I going to be up against? What do I need? Am I going to be able to do that? Am I going to be able to navigate that? Like you have to start thinking and planning ahead about those things and how you're going to do it. And again, it's just like, it's how you make it work for you. And so it's just like the smallest things that sometimes people take for granted. I can't, because I'm always having to think like, okay, if I'm going to go to this, networking party or whatever, am I going to be able to, get my stuff? Am I going to have to ask for help? Like, you have to know how to ask for help. And I hate asking for help, because I've had to be, I had to ask throughout my life, in so many different areas, in different ways, from doing my hair to, putting something on or whatever. But I still have to ask today. But I have to say, like, it's okay to ask for help. We all need help in different ways, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody needs help. So it's just like not making it look, I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Oh my goodness.
It's all good. We love
my dog doesn't normally bark, but I had someone drop something off to me, and I was like, I'm going to be interviewing. I can't come right now to the door. They're like, we'll just leave it there, and he hears. So I'm so sorry. Sorry, everybody.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So just commenting on, kind of planning for like every step that you take. I think that's also like a great skill, which I think kind of feeds into maybe like your life coaching a bit too, the whole like planning, the whole being very analytical, and kind of understanding how certain situations and circumstances will kind of like affect you, and kind of how do you navigate those sort of things. So going into your like life coaching model, I do know that you follow the ontological coaching method. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, ontological coaching is really about who we are in this world and how we operate. And so it's not me going to tell you, okay, let me give you a prescription of you do this and you do that and you do this and you do that. It's really giving people a different way of being, but I'm holding up a mirror because it's already in you. It's there. It's just like
Yeah.
kind of what we were talking about before, like not having that awareness, right? So it's helping you get out of your own way. There's blind spots. We all have blind spots, but here I am coming to support you and to help you see those ways and how you operate. And usually a lot of time we call it you're in your survival mechanism or your defense mechanism. People are operating from that. But it's really about operating from your true essence and who I always like to say who you be. It's who you be in this world, So is it joy? Is it sparkle? Is it wisdom? Those things, those characteristics, those are the places that we operate from. And it's teaching you how to see possibility and operate from your essence instead of always being in survival and just in the go of things and not seeing those things. And it helps you just make that shift from being in that space to really, really setting into your essence. Yes.
You're good.
Sorry, I'm so trying to ignore my dog right now. And he usually is not this active, but today he wants to be.
You're good. We
Oh
love
my
him.
goodness. Oh, we know this is live. But it's really about operating from that space. So that's really what ontological coaching is. And that's why I love that I went through a year program and doing that. I had to do my own work. I mean, I'm just not like, oh, I've been through this. So yeah, I'm a coach. No, I had to deal with my dark side. I had to deal with my stuff. I had to get my own, I had my own coach. And it was it was a process. I was just like, I learned a lot about myself in that year. So it was a coaching and leadership program. And it was amazing. Excuse me. And going through that process and doing that work instead of, going, hey, I took a 20-minute course. I'm a life coach now. Hey, let me come help you with your life.
No, I love that you put the work into it because it's like you're just saying, you're not just like calling yourself a coach. You kind of like build that foundation upon which you can actually do the job. So I commend you on that. And like from what I'm gathering, ontological coaching is kind of like a non-directive type of way of conversing, if I'm correct. It's kind of like you're walking with someone on their journey, trying to figure out where their blind spots are.
Right. It's like it's
Okay.
almost like I like to say kind of like a guide by the side, It's
I love that.
It's a guide by the side, and it's there. I'm supporting you. It's a co-creative relationship. And the thing is that I've seen other coaches, I've seen other and their styles and how they do it. And it's just like, I have this ABC formula but it's almost like with teaching, it's not a one size fit all thing. Everybody is individual and they have their own unique needs and need to be supported in different ways. So you got to connect with that. That's what you got to connect with. So I'm about really getting to know who my clients are. And I'm just like, and just because you say you need coaching doesn't necessarily mean I'm even the right fit for you. That's not my style. If I'm not, like, I'll do what I call a complimentary session and we'll just talk about some things. I'll ask some questions. And if I don't feel that I'm a good fit for you, there might be somebody else that might be, I can refer you over or, vice versa, so I'm just not just because, oh yes, ooh, a client, ooh, money. No, that's not what it's about for me. It's about really making true change for that person, that they're going to get the best out of what they need from me in order to support them in their journey into transitioning into whatever that is for them.
Perfect. Man, I want you to be my coach. No, I love that
afterwards.
There you go. No, but I definitely love that individualized approach. I think just from my personal perspective, like for example, going through school and like an IEP program, which I know a lot of AMCers are probably like very familiar with. It's just like there are so many nuances to like the disability experience or just well, let me just say people in general, but then also for the disability experience, there are so many nuances and very specific aspects that are, they, like you're saying, it's not cookie cutter. And I think that's like a very strong trait for a coach to have, because every person is just not the same. Every disability, even though it's the same condition, it's not the same
Not the
experience.
same.
Exactly.
That part.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was getting
oh, no,
excited. I
you're
was like,
good.
yes, that right there.
No, I'm here for it. Here for it. But I was just saying, I I think I really like to visualize disability more of just like individual entities instead of like being under an umbrella of things.
Right.
Like as a definition or like a medical type of like examination, that's, I guess that's fine, because the, you know, the doctor has to know like what your condition is. But at the same time, I think there's kind of like a twofold thing of like, okay, he has or she has arthrogryposis, but then now let's get to the person or the human aspect of it past like that definition. Because there's a human, a person, a heart at the end of the day that you have to kind of like focus on.
Yes. I absolutely agree with that. And like you said, like it being individualized, like not till I was like in my late 30s did I ever meet or see anybody else with arthrogryposis. And that's because of Facebook. I didn't know, like I heard about it. I spent so much of my first part of my life going to doctor's appointments all the time. And then I would be
Yeah.
sitting in rooms with literally 20 doctors from around the world. And I'm sitting in the middle of the room and I was just like, by this time I'm like a tween and I'm like, why do they keep asking me these questions? Excuse me. And I'm like, I don't get it. And well, you can ballet, you can piano, you can do this. And I'm like, yes,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm like, I'm like, yes. And I'm like, I don't get it. So I remember this conversation always sticks out to me. And I say, to my mom, I'm like, why do they always keep asking? They're like not helping me. Like, why do they just keep asking me? They're like studying me. And she goes, ask them questions. She goes, it's your right. So the next time I came, I sat down, I was like, I want to know why you keep asking me why I can do these things when I know I can do these things. Why do you keep asking? And then they told me, because I didn't know, they said, well, a lot of times arthrogryposis affects a person in all four of their limbs and they don't have the capability. And I was like, oh, so they kind of gave me this breakdown of like statistics. I know it's totally different now, but they gave me this breakdown. So I heard about it, but I just didn't know. I just knew this is me, this is how I am, but I never seen anybody else. So like when I found the arthrogryposis group, I was just like, oh my gosh, like it was like a whole new world. And it was just like, wow. And there's so many different variations. Like you said, it's not individual. Yes. There's so many different variations of it. I mean, I'm just like, it was just like, I just was like, oh, I just couldn't believe it because I mean, 35, 36 years later, like you're finally after hearing about this thing, all your life and you're finally getting to connect and meet with others. Like, that's been an absolute blessing to me because I'm just like, wow, it's opened me up literally to a whole nother world because I didn't have that. And so I'm so appreciative of this and being able to be connected with the community of amazing, amazing people. And so, yeah, so when you talk about it's different, we're all different and we're all heart-centered at the end of it. That's the likeness, that's the same. We're all heart-centered, we're all people.
Yes.
So that's just an amazing point, and I just wanted to kind of connect that to it.
For sure. And I feel for you on those like doctor's visits too, because I've also had like my fair share of like kind of being like a subject of like study as opposed to like kind of like a heart-centered type of like humanistic approach. And okay, one part of me understands that the research is so necessary to understand how this disability like tracks out and like what does the projection of the disability look like all of the medical side of things. But at the same time, I think what needs to be talked about in those like hospital rooms or just whenever someone goes to an appointment, it's just like, yeah, you need to have that medical like research component, but there's also like there's a human behind the definition, and especially for young children, because I remember I had to like kind of get to the understanding of like my own like physical reality and how like I kind of had to grow up a little bit quickly just to like understand what was kind of happening around me, or at least making sense of it. To, I mean, however, a 4-year-old can kind of make sense of it.
Right.
And I think that kind of brings back to like your point of like being resilient, or like just resilience in general. It's because, you know, those experiences like that, they could just kind of be discouraging sometimes. Just, you know, like to speak of the reality of it, because I think we also need to speak about like, you know, yeah, we do have to be positive. We have to like move forward in our journey, but at the same time, it's just like there's the reality that it's just like not so beautiful sometimes. And
Yep.
exactly. And I commend you and I admire you because you have a way of finding like the silver lining in kind of like a harsh reality of things. And like tell me, like did your disability experience kind of also inform your coaching style too, like aside from like the ontological like
You know, I really think I always say this, and I'm like, I'm always for the underdog. Like I always want to see somebody
yeah
like do better, be better, and reach their goals. And that's innately who I am because I've been through that journey myself and I still go through it daily. There's always new challenges. So it's a part of me and it really pours over to my coaching. Like I'm like, because I'm just like, to me, I'm like, there's like no excuses. Like, no, don't bring me an excuse. Because if I can figure out to do something, you surely can figure out how to do something. You know,
oh
it's
yeah
like we're choosing. Like I just say, oh, well, I'll try. And I go, oh, I said, you're going to try. I'm like, well, you're giving yourself an out when you say try. Well, what do you mean? Well, what do you mean that? I go, well, does Nike say just try it?
there you go. I love that. I love
I'm
that.
always saying no. They say just do it. Try has doubt. Try has doubt. And so, and I know that's one thing when I grew up, my mom was like, Melissa, I just want you to just, she would just
Yes.
say, so it's like, I want you to just to try it. She did say, just try it. You know, we didn't have the Nike thing back then, but she did not want me to just give up. She was like, so I needed to put some action. So I literally had to do. So in everything, whether it was opening a bottle, it was trying to figure out a way to put my jacket on. If it was a way to try to, button my pants, if it took me an hour, but darn it, I got them pants buttoned, you know what I mean? It's like I had to put in action in everything that I did in my life. And so that's why that part of me comes out, whether it's in my coaching, whether it's in my teaching. I
Yeah.
bring that over to really help people see, like, you can do whatever it is that you desire. What's in the way of it?
Mhm.
What's in the
It's
way?
it's it's probably intention, because you have to be so intentional about, you know, wanting to do it as opposed to like just wanting to try it. And
Mhm.
man, you got me motivated right now.
I
No,
love
I
it.
love it. Because I personally, like, I try to tell myself I need to be very intentional about all the goals that I want, and not not to have an excuse. I admit I've used excuses before. I'm not perfect.
No, and who
I
is?
no no one is, but no, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm saying, oh, you have to be intentional, and I focus on attention. But like I get into those modes of just like, man, can I really do it? But I think as a person with a disability, it's just like it's kind of like almost hardwired, because you just have to do it, because that's, or else like how are you going to live, or how are you going to increase your degree of independence? Because at the end of the day, you know, there are some people that you know, you're not going to have your mom and dad for your entire life, and like that's also a harsh reality to think about too. It's just like you got to be prepared at the same time. So I really admire a lot of people who just like have such a high degree of or severity of disability, and they're just like so amazing at just like attaining that independence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just me commenting on just like how I admire you, how I admire everyone that like I've met through this community. So thank you, and thank you to everyone watching.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that.
For sure. So we're getting a little to the end of the interview, but is there a particular aspect that you wanted to kind of cover, or even like talk a little bit about your business too? We can go into that as well.
Sure, I could share a little bit. So I was thinking earlier, I was like, should I bring some shirts? I was like, no, I'm not going to do all that. I'll just talk a little. I was going to be like, and this shirt.
No, I love it. We'll link it. We'll link it in our
that is totally fine. But Aspire to Fly was originally the name of my coaching business. And I think I give a little background on my website about that, but I don't go really super deep into why and what happened. So last year at the beginning of the pandemic, I went into getting my name trademarked and as a registered trademark. And when I did that, there was another Aspire to Fly, but there was Aspire2Fly, but they had pretty similar services as I did as a coach. And I was having my inspirational line, like there was here's my coaching, then here's my inspirational line, you know? And my lawyer was like, hey, like good news, bad news. And I was like, okay, well, she's like, what news do you want first? I was like, give me the bad, just tell me what it is.
Yeah.
You know? And she was like, well, you know, she explained about the other Aspire to Fly. She goes, for your inspirational line, there's nothing else like that. And you can apply for it. I said, all right, you know what, let's go for it. I said, I can just rebrand myself, you know, as just, you know, Melissa Smith life coach. I doesn't know it.
Yeah.
It's not all fancy, but it's, you know, I just was like, I'm not going to make it a big deal. You know what I mean? And so that's how Aspire to Fly just became strictly my inspirational line. And for years, I mean, I've always wanted to have like t-shirts with positive sayings and, you know, and I just like to motivate and encourage and empower people. And I was like, well, I can get a further reach if I do this line. And so, you know, because when you're wearing something, people read that. And it's just like, you never know whose life you're going to touch, you know? And so one of my shirts was like, one of the greatest pleasures in life is doing what others say you cannot do. And a lot of my messages, I'll have to say, like, they're connected to me in some way. You know, I have that one. I have a resilience. I have, I am worthy. So I have all these different types of messages that are just, they transcend across age, you know, race, you know, whatever it is. And somebody sees it, you don't know whose day you're going to cheer up. So I always say, you're not inspiring yourself, you're inspiring other people. And so that's really what Aspire to Fly is all about. And that's why I have it and I absolutely love it. And, you know, sometimes, you know, as an entrepreneur, it does get hard. You always kind of think like, man, am I like, this is rough. Like, do I keep going? Like, is it working? But then God always gives me something. He always shows me something in that moment where somebody messages me and says how, you know, their whatever they've purchased has, you know, helped them through. Like when they're like I'll grab my cup and I'll expect greatness, and it helps me start my day off right. Or even just me going grocery shopping and somebody reading my shirt and said, oh my gosh, I needed that message. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then they sit there and pour their heart to me and tell me their story. And I'm like in tears with them at a cash register, you know? And I'm just like, okay, so just keep going, Melissa, keep going. Don't stop, because even if it's just one person that I'm helping, I'm okay with that, you know? And so I really, if you are into positive messages and sayings, go check me out. I have an Instagram at Aspire2Fly. That's ASPIRE, 2 fly. And then my website is aspire2fly.com, and just go peruse and check it out. Maybe there's something that will resonate with you and that you'll like it. But yeah, that's why I did that. And so, yeah, it was just an extension of my coaching, because I get to, you know, work with people one-on-one, but I get to spread my messages further by just touching other people's lives through that. So thank you for letting me share that.
Of course. And like I said, I'll be putting like a link in our description, and that we can kind of peruse in the store and see what it kind of speaks to you. No, but I absolutely love that. I think think a lot of times people kind of underestimate the power of words, and it's just not like a word that's on a t-shirt, you know, it's kind of like a living concept that can like stay in your mind. Like, you know, negative words have the same capability. So like, you know, why not do a positive thing, you know? So
Yeah,
that is such a cool thing.
absolutely. And I mean, and I'm, you know, I'm a Christian and I believe, you know, the word says life and death are in the power of the tongue, you know? So what
Mhm.
we say, what we hear, what we see, what we speak, and what we believe, you know? So if I can be one of those just change agents that help get some positive messages out there in the world, why not, you know?
Exactly. And like you said, you never know what someone is going through. And perhaps they just need the word of just like, just do it or just try, like you're saying. Like,
Yeah,
you
we're not
know,
gonna
just
try,
like,
Brandon. We're not
we're not
gonna
gonna try.
try. We're gonna do.
You're right. We're gonna do everyone.
We're gonna do, Brandon. We're gonna do.
Oh man, that should be your next t-shirt. Not try. We're gonna do.
I probably will. I'll be like, I have
I
been
love it.
inspired. You
Yes.
inspired me. I'm like, this one's for Brandon.
There you go. No, but and then just really quick, just commenting on that, like the last portion. I love how you have such a willingness to like just speak to anyone, just like you're saying, like at a cash register. And I think that's also another thing to point out is just like you can impact anyone anywhere,
And
especially like, on this live. Like I think I'm super humbled to have the opportunity to speak with amazing people like you, to
oh,
try to reach so many people who like, you know, who may feel alone because no one near them has the same condition and all you're hearing is from doctors, or like
yeah,
you just need community because like I think with community you're able to kind of rid those feelings of isolation, and I think that's so damaging at the end of the day, just feeling alone when you're really not. It's just like you just have to like kind of be out there, search, because like there's a community for you, and I hope everyone listening is just like here's this, like there's community out there.
yes, there
And
is. There really is. And I, you saying that, and it's just like sometimes you never know, like you said, whose life you're gonna touch. And I told you that I was featured on the Instagram last year,
yeah.
a feature, and someone saw my her name is Sandrine. I think I said that correctly. I hope I did. She reached out to me. She has a daughter with arthrogryposis. And she messaged me and asked if I would connect with her because she's never seen a brown woman, a brown girl that looks like her with the same condition. And she's saying, here's evidence of someone who has it and who's, you know, doing things in life. And I was so humbled that she even reached out. And I was like, yeah, I'll talk with her, you know. And we got to have a little conversation over, you know, on Instagram and everything. But it was a blessing because for AMC Awareness Day, I try to do my best to use my platform, Aspire2Fly, to bring awareness, you know? And so I was like, well, I know this is not business related, but this is it's part of me and it's who I am. So if it's about me, who I am, it's a part of my business. so, so I use that to bring awareness and to, you know, all those, you know, people out there networking and doing things like to, share stories. And I just didn't want to share my story. And she came on and man, she had me boo-hooing because she was just like, I believe you were born in the 70s to be here for my daughter and other girls that look like her, look like you. And I was just like, what? And I mean, literally, I just didn't see it coming, but it was just like, I was so humbled by that. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I said, you know, sometimes you don't know the why and how come, but then somebody comes
Yeah.
around and says something to you and you're just like, wow, just wow. So you're right. You don't know whose life you're going to touch at all and impact. And so saying a kind word to somebody, if it's a hello or a smile or, you know, complimenting them on something, whatever it is, you don't know how that is going to impact and change them. So I just say, whoever is watching and listening, be you, love you, there is purpose in what we all have purpose, and we are here for a reason. I never asked God why. I never asked why. I never asked why me, why I'm a middle child, and my younger sister able-bodied, my older brother able-bodied. But I never asked why, how come me? You know, I never had that. I asked, how come I gained 20 pounds? Now that I have done. But my point is, I've had maybe issues with my body image as far as putting on weight, but never about my disability. I'm like, it's who I am. It's a part of me. And I always say, I love my different. So just own who you are, love who you are, and that energy is just going to permeate, and people are going to be drawn to you, and just be an encouragement to whoever it is that you touch. It's so important, because we need kindness, we need love, we need compassion, we need that thing, and especially today in this day and age. I'm a woman, I'm Black, and I got a disability. 1, 2, 3, strike, I'm out. Right? But I'm not gonna let those labels define me. I'm not. So I'm just like, whatever, I'm gonna just be me, like me or not.
Everything you said, love. I'm here for all of it. I think, and like you said, you love your different, you love your difference. And I think that needs to be such a repeated message. Oh,
wait, there you are.
you back?
There you are. You're moving.
Okay.
I was like, wait.
Oh no, you're good. So what I was saying was, I love your message was like, love your difference, love your different, because the world is made up of such an amazing mixture of people that not only we need to like gain visibility and just like all of everyone's stories. And like what I like to say is just like there's so many like micro histories that I would love to just like, talk about and make it like more visible. And like you were saying, like, you being kind of like that role model for, brown little girls who really need to see that, because like I was saying, like isolation is such a damaging thing that like from what I hear, you have relieved that isolation that could have stayed with that young girl for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So that's such an amazing thing to like, be a part of, or just like even listening to it. I'm like getting chills right now, because I remember just being a young kid and not like seeing really like many of anyone or like Latinos, because I come from a Hispanic background.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's so important to have that representation and visibility at the end of the day, because I think like really eradicating isolation is kind of like a really good place to start to help with the healing of so many people.
Yeah.
And I can see like you're a warrior of that already, and I love it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Wow.
Of course. Oh man, I could talk for hours about this, but I just want to thank you for your time. Speaking with me, sharing your story. I think sharing people's stories is just so powerful.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, words are powerful. Even the Bible says it. So come on.
Yeah.
And I just really think for like your perspective and just giving me the time to speak with you and just kind of learning more about you and having everyone just learn more about you and the wonderful community that we have. So everyone, I hope you have a wonderful day. Please check out Melissa's website, her Instagram. She has amazing things out there. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful evening. And let me go ahead and stop this live. All right, bye everyone.
Bye.
Oh, look.